It comes out of chaos. Unlike the creation stories of the cultures surrounding Israel, God in our Bible, in Genesis 1, starts with nothing except darkness, wind, water, chaos. And while the other cultures talk of their gods fashioning the earth out of things that already exist, like the bodies of gods killed in battle, the God of Genesis simply speaks, and order emerges from the chaos, and creation springs from the words. Light, that elemental need, is created, but darkness, that's needed too. So God makes space for that. There's too much of this water stuff, so God creates more space. A dome that separates water from water. And yeah, the Jewish view of sky, of outer space, if you will, was water, which is not a bad guess, as water does fall from the sky. There's no place to walk, much less plant anything. So God creates a space, gathering the waters together, revealing dry land, which becomes the home of everything that grows outside the water. Sun, moon, stars follow, bringing energy, beauty, ways to tell time, ways to navigate. Find your way in the space of this world. Then in these new spaces, God places creatures of the sea, birds of the air, and God blesses them and says for that first time, be fruitful and multiply. And then the landlubbers, cattle, creeping things, wild animals of the space created on earth, and it was so. And then when the rest was done, humans, male and female, in God's image. Order from the chaos. Created order from nothing save the holy word of God. A journey from chaos, where nothing was possible, to a created universe where everything is given the space that it needs. Simply perfect. Creation crowned by a being that God calls in God's own image. A remarkably high view of humanity. And one to remember when we are asked to see Christ in our neighbor. We here on staff and at church use something called Working Preacher for our lessons during the school year. And it comes out of Luther Seminary. And the professors there, well, they offer insight into the Bible and sometimes some good ideas for preaching. And in discussing Genesis this week, they mentioned the idea that in this creation story, God provides a space for everything. And it's true. And it's an important insight we shouldn't forget. We as humans understand this. We understand the need for home, our own bed, our pillow, the comfort of a few special things around us, the company of our loved ones, a dog, a cat. We really understand the need for a space of our own. But we also see that this need for space can become a fight as we take every available space for our own needs or submit it to destruction for our needs or ignore the creatures God has also created in our lust for more. And it's always been this way. Always. There's just more of us now, and we're better at it. We fight the beauty of the light, even as we are in the image of God's light. We always have. That's why John mentions in regard to Jesus bringing the light that the darkness has not overtaken it. We gather here. We support each other. We gather here and teach our children. We gather here and try to walk the path of salvation and peace. We come together because we know deep inside that this is true. We want to be better. We want this world to be better. We want to walk with God. We want the vision of creation in this story. We're just not always too sure how to get there. But maybe it'll help if we remember God created a space for everything. And we should be working to keep space a reality for ourselves, for others, and for creation. We need to reject any idea that a world without wild spaces should be allowed to be created. We need to fight our own greed and the greed of others who would say otherwise. A world without the beauty of animals and birds and even bugs is not a world worth living in. And if we don't give all of them space, we are rebelling against God's vision for the world. We need to reject the idea that people can be ranked in terms of importance, because that's simply sin. And it's the silent excuse we use to categorize rich against poor. It's the silent excuse we use in racism. The lie we tell ourselves, even as we know from a scientific perspective, there's just one human race. When we are racist, we are simply hating a part of ourselves. People need space. They need to be given the respect of creating lives for themselves and help when the world thwarts them in that. Surprisingly few people really want everything given to them. Most want the satisfaction of building something of their own. We need to be about providing that opportunity, treating others with respect, and working for peace. Because all of that's in line with God's vision. A vision that says we are family. And we need to create space for ourselves and for others. If we are not seeking to serve, we are not becoming all we can become. If we are not caring for ourselves, we are robbing the world and ourselves of the best that we can be. Genesis 1 practically sings the harmony of creation, an idea that C.S. Lewis employs as Aslan the lion, the Christ figure of the Narnia stories, sings creation into being. Harmony is not the endeavor of one voice. Harmony happens in community and happens when we work for ourselves, our children, and for others. It happens when we create space. Space for life, love, learning, joy, and comfort in times of sorrow. We should remember God created space. As co-creators with God, we need to work to give everything in creation the space it needs and keep God's vision alive for all of us.